Hello. So today I will be going over my capstone reflection project. This is the final project in our coaching class. So let's start off. There are 5 different sections to the coaching process. What the coaching process is first of all, assess. Second is identify goals and objectives. The third is plan. Fourth being implement, and 5 being reflect. Now, as a coach, all 5 of these pillars are crucial steps along the coaching process. First of all, having assess there is probably the most crucial point of being a coach, seeing as when you get an athlete onto the field, the first thing that you do when you look at an athlete is you assess and you evaluate their skill set. From there, you identify goals and objectives. And from this, you have a plan as to how you are going to get there. However, a plan without implementation is not a plan at all. It is just a goal. It is just a dream. And the 5th one is reflection, because after implementing the goals and objectives into the plan that you have created, through reflection is where you get to see if you have developed overall as a person and as a player. Which then leads me on to my next point, which is developing the athlete. Developing the athlete was a theme that we talked over extensively in class. And one of the themes that we used to help talk about developing the athlete was we used a video of a rugby player named Buddy. And Buddy was an exceptional athlete for his age. He showed signs of quick maturation and growth within his field, and he was able to pretty much dominate the competition. However, this doesn't develop the rest of the team. This doesn't allow for ball distribution throughout the team. And when it comes to developing the athlete, you don't want to just focus on the most skilled player on the team. You want to focus on how to develop the team as a whole and creating developmentally appropriate drills. So the community project number 1, when we were interviewing coaches within the local Morgantown area, I personally evaluated and talked to Coach Gruber of the men's ACHA Division I team here at WVU, and the comparisons that I got between the community project and developing the athlete are as followed. So Gruber's remarks were, each player has their own style of learning. What works for one player might not work for another, and the biggest thing is keeping their interest peaked so that you can keep their attention. In comparison to what we learned in class is that Coach Gruber's remarks are similar in comparison to the development of the athlete module from class. And by knowing this, I can then compare his statements and be able to come up with my own statement of, by knowing each player that you have on your team, you can understand their strengths and difficulties and where their weaknesses lie. And through this, you can get an understanding of how to develop each person on the team as opposed to just developing one. And now overall, what I've learned from this comparison is that the team is not comprised of just one individual player. In order to get the most out of your team, you must develop them as a unit. And the learning style is learned differently throughout different coaches and players. Each player has their own way of learning. And as a coach, it is your job to find which is the most effective style of learning for that player. A quote that I have here, which will then go on to my coaching philosophies, is straight from my community project of what is my why. And so my quote is, I can honestly say that the reason I want to become a coach later in my life is because the passion I have for what I'm teaching, as well as the desire to see my future athletes succeed. My philosophies as a coach are what make up my character as a person. However, they are deeply rooted from where I come from, and they are why I want to be a coach. So my coaching philosophies can be broken up into three separate things. The first philosophy that I believe in is, as a coach, I am obligated to share my knowledge. And over the years, I will and have continued to develop extensive knowledge on the topic that I'm coaching, which is mobility and strength and conditioning in a hockey specific environment. And I believe that there isn't knowledge that I should withhold from my athletes when coaching. And in my field, I believe that I should always give my professional opinion. In addition to this, I then go on to respect. And I say that respect for humans is expected and should be given to everyone. However, respect when it comes to an opinion within a specific field, such as hockey, has to be earned through action. And one other thing is, another philosophy I carry is I don't allow my personal life to affect my coaching attitude. Regardless of the problems in my life, I will not allow them to interfere with how I teach, and I will not let personal relationships interfere with my coaching. So now I then go on to definition of success. Success and the definition can be broken up into two different categories: process versus outcome, and task and ego-orientated winning. A very common measure of success is outcome, such as a win after a game. However, this is not the only measure. Success can also come from your personal life, such as family success, monetary success, and even community success. There's also different forms of winning. There's the task and ego-oriented sources of winning, where individuals who are task-oriented are driven to complete the task to the best of their abilities. However, students who are ego-oriented are more focused on outcompeting the other competitors and outperforming them. So, process versus outcome. In class, we talked about success being an iceberg and how the tip of the iceberg is success, and that is what you see on the outside. However, the other 90% of an iceberg, which is underwater, that is the portion of success that you don't see, which is the most crucial part, which is the hard work, persistence, late nights, rejections, sacrifices, discipline, criticisms, doubts, failures, risks. That's where all this comes from. And so it takes years of hard work and perseverance to be considered an overnight success. And what this means is, it doesn't take someone one day or 1 week of practicing to become the best. It takes years, and it takes hours of dedication and perseverance to break through that barrier and become a success. People won't see the persistence and the resiliency that it takes to achieve success. And this is because, as I was saying, success is an iceberg, and the top is only a fraction of the entirety of the entire project or success mountain that you've been climbing. So, ego versus task-oriented growth is another module that we went over within our class. Ego-oriented growth is when you say that success is winning and talent is valued more than effort. In addition to this, people who are ego-oriented also believe that talent is fixed and cannot be improved upon, as well as success is based on outperforming others and being the best at what your specific field is. However, there is another orientation of growth, and this is task related. So task oriented growth is success is just growth over a long period of time. And in this field is where competence and confidence is developed. Success is measured only through personal perspectives, and they are not comparing themselves to somebody else. And this is also the person who believes talent is an ability and is not fixed, and this can also be improved through hard work. So there are challenges outside of being a child within youth sports. There are challenges of being a parent. So the five major challenges that I have gathered here with being a parent would be playing time, as this can cause frustration between parents and the coaches, as parents may feel like their child deserves more playing time than the coach believes. A second challenge of being a parent are conversations outside of the field. This can be car rides home after a game. This is usually the most popular location of receiving good or bad news, or having a good or bad conversation after a game, as if you had a good game, it will be a good conversation. And obviously enough, if you had a bad game, it will be a bad conversation. The third one that I have here is payment. Most organized sports nowadays are becoming very expensive, making it harder for adults to put their kids into these organized sports. Other children may be a source of difficulty, for example, bullying. And the fifth one are outside criticisms. Now, this can come from both children and parents, but from a parent's perspective, to hear other parents criticize your child for their route in their specific sport is very demoralizing and can also be very upsetting. So, in summary, to conclude this presentation, I wanted to put together the keynotes that I have here, and those are that coaching is a process, and it's a 5-step plan that allows you to coach and see where you're going to take your coaching. Developing the athlete is extremely important and is probably the most fundamental quality of being a coach. Success can be both self-defined and socially constructed, and there are many challenges that not only come in youth sports for the children, but for the parents as well. That is everything that I have in my presentation. Thank you for listening.